uniqueness is that it is a ex-men's convenience. The main idea there was really just to upcycle something, to give something a second life. It's quite a shame that such a beautiful space has been closed up. A lot of them in London have been cemented, damaged and disused, so it was nice to be able to give it a second opportunity at a new life. So, the place was shined and clean. It was completely dirty. It hadn't been used in over 60 years. There was a large build-up of soot, so there was a lot of scrubbing involved. It took over a year to clean it up. We get the original urinals and turn that into a seating line. We didn't want to hide the fact that it was a toilet, so there's still the original hand dryer on the wall. You can still see the original attendant store. You still got your little attendance window where people used to spend a penny to go to the loo. So we tried to keep all those original quirky features of the space and then just transformed it into this nice sort of tongue-in-cheek environment that has a lot of charisma. What we try to do as a business is challenge the status quo, because we truly believe that innovation can only be achieved when you take everything into consideration. And one really important factor for us is provenance, sustainability, and ethical sourcing. We look to source our coffee from specialty providers around coffee grounds. So at the moment we're sourcing from Nicaragua and Colombia. We try to work with farmers, that's lives have been kind of affected by past hardships within those areas. So some of the farms that we're working with in Colombia, they have been succumbed to some genocide and drug dealers and all sorts of things, kind of like pushing them away from that area. So they've only recently just come back and then started developing the area, developing a cultural life. These days, with all the social media, you need to be able to understand how to interact with your users, what people want, and then also you need to understand how to manage your staff as different life goals, because you want to be able to try to offer the best services possible. Understanding how to run the business, understanding how to manage your cash flow effectively, so that you can have a sustainable business for the next year or 2 years or 3 years or 4 years, so that it's not just something that kind of lands up in 6 months or 7 months and turns into more of a nightmare than your dream. Social media is so important these days, and how you interact with them over Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter. I think it's very important and quite hard to tell you the truth. Fitzrovia, that's more of a destination spot, so location doesn't really matter. People will make their way out there regardless. When it comes to having a coffee shop that doesn't have, say, a USP such as Fitzrovia, just use a toilet, then footfall can be a really big help, because you want to be able to have that sort of general awareness of people walking by and then turning those walk-bys into sales. A lot of people think that it can be put together on a shoestring budget. I'm not saying that it can't, but it's very difficult to have a successful shop on a shoestring budget. And it's also very important to ensure that you have a good amount of cash, so that if anything happens, you can pay your bills, you can pay your staff. You don't want to be in a position where you cannot pay your bills or you cannot pay your staff because you haven't achieved the sales targets that you perhaps thought you were going to. So having all of those things can certainly lighten the stress. And just having a really good understanding and knowledge of, what your concept is and why you're doing what you're doing, so that when it comes to setting up all the systems, you can go about that in the most efficient manner possible, so that it doesn't cost you any time and money.